Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Guys, listen, I'm going to jump into this. I said before we had serious problems in our nation with a lot of crimes right now directed towards women. It's no secret. It's like women can't do anything, can't go anywhere without being victims. Fellas, too. You know, people are getting preyed upon at alarming rates. But this story right here goes back to what I was saying. I've been doing a lot of recent stories on people getting abducted, so on and so forth, missing people, you name it. We've been doing it on this channel because we care and we want to get the word out. This one's no different. Look at this dude. Now, this guy is some type of foreigner. I don't know what he is. I think he's some type of Ethiopian or something like that with his name. His name is Nagasi Zuberi. He's 29 years old. Klamath Falls, Oregon is where he calls home right now. Well, before he was locked up. This dude right here is an oxygen thief. He need his head tore off. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. This guy, I'm going to play this video and show you what this guy did. And this story just broke. After you see this, a lot of y'all that think about arming yourselves and getting those gun permits and all that other stuff. A lot of people sitting up here talking about they want to get rid of guns and all this stuff. Nowadays, you might need them, especially dealing with this. Check it out.
I'll warn you that some of these details you might find disturbing. The FBI is accusing 29-year-old Nagasi Zuberi, who goes by several other names, of kidnapping a woman in Seattle and driving her to his home in Klamath Falls. Well, he allegedly sexually assaulted that woman on his way from Washington to Oregon and kept his victim locked in a makeshift Cinderblock cell in Klamath Falls. The FBI says this all started July 15th. Investigators say Zuberi drove from Oregon to Washington and, according to his victim, solicited a prostitute in Seattle. He then allegedly posed as an undercover police officer, threatened his victim with a taser before handcuffing her and putting her in leg irons. Police say he went back to Klamath Falls and locked her in the Cinderblock cell in his garage. The victim told the FBI she was able to break down the door after a few hours, beating that door down with her hands. She then flagged down a passing driver who called 911. A search warrant was issued and executed at his home on the 16th. The suspect was arrested later that day in Nevada after allegedly taking off to Reno. That's where he engaged in a standoff with police.
After law enforcement arrested him in Nevada, he appeared in federal court there in front of a judge on July 26th. And that judge in Reno ordered him detained pending his transfer to Oregon. The U.S. Marshals Service is now in the process of bringing him back to Oregon to face the kidnapping charge, and we anticipate that he'll appear in federal court in Medford, Oregon, in the coming weeks.
To date, Zuberi has been linked to at least 4 sexual assaults in 4 other states. We believe there may be more victims.
The FBI says Zuberi used multiple aliases, Sakima, Justin Haichi, and Justin Kouassi. They say they are investigating his activities in 10 different states and say they do have reason to believe that he may have sexually assaulted more victims. The Bureau says between 2016 and this year, he lived in Oregon, Washington, California, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Florida, New York, New Jersey, and Alabama. Court documents say his Klamath Falls landlord has filed eviction papers against him. The FBI does not believe the suspect is from Oregon. The FBI says Zuberi may have drugged more victims in the past and impersonated police officers in order to prey on more people. A federal complaint document filed in the District of Oregon charges Zuberi with interstate kidnapping. That's a crime that carries the possibility of life in prison. Now, if you believe that you were a victim or if you have any information about Zuberi, you are asked to make a tip to the FBI. The FBI is setting up a website for victims to submit information.
Okay, guys, we're going to get into this article real fast because it has a lot of different details that the video didn't tell you. And you really got to see what type of monster this man was. He's nothing but a prey animal. Check this out. Agents say Nagasi Zuberi, 29, is a violent sex assault offender who has lived in several different states, and they believe there could be other victims in the case. They said the investigation began when a Washington woman escaped Zuberi's home in Klamath Falls, saying he had kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and locked her in a homemade cell in his garage. Now, I'm going to go down here. We all know that for a fact. Now, watch this. This is where it gets into the case. According to investigators, Zuberi drove to Seattle and solicited the services of a prostitute. He then posed as an undercover police officer, putting her in handcuffs and leg irons at taser point. He then drove about 450 miles back to Klamath Falls with the woman in his back seat of his car, sexually assaulting her during the trip. Per court documents, Zuberi covered the woman's head with a sweatshirt before removing her from the car and forced her into his home at, I don't want to say the house address. Once in his house, Zuberi allegedly put the woman in a makeshift cell in his garage that he built from cinder blocks and a metal door that couldn't be opened from the inside. When Zuberi left the woman, he said she briefly slept. The woman said she briefly slept before waking up to the realization that she would most likely die if she did not attempt to escape. She then hit the metal door repeatedly with her hands until they were bloody, until she was able to break it open and escape the cell. The survivor said once she was out of the cell, she opened the door to Zuberi's vehicle, saw his handgun, took it, and fled the home. She then flagged down a passing driver who called 911. The survivor later took law enforcement to identify the house where she was held captive. At the residence, officers found the woman's blood on the fence where she climbed over to escape. She also gave officers a description of her captor that matched Zuberi. Police interviewed Zuberi's wife and neighbors, searched databases, and ultimately determined he was indeed the suspect associated with the home. On July 16th, the police obtained a search warrant for Zuberi's Klamath Falls home. Inside the garage, they found the Cinderblock cell described by the survivor. Officers also found her purse next to the cell. Police used cell phone GPS data to track Zuberi to Reno, Nevada. Zuberi was caught in Reno after a brief standoff with police. Check this out, guys. Listen closely. According to court documents, Zuberi was with his wife and at least one child during the arrest. During the standoff, police say Zuberi tried to cut himself with a sharp object, causing him to bleed profusely, and also trying to destroy his phone. He eventually agreed to exit the vehicle and was detained. The FBI, here's another thing, has linked Zuberi to 4 more sexual assaults and is now seeking additional victims who might have been assaulted across the 10 states where he lived in the last 10 years, guys. So this man lived 10 states in 10 years. According to investigators, he used several different methods to get control of his victims. Pay attention. Like impersonating an officer, drugging drinks, or would even threaten them with retaliation if they reported his crime. Now it says down here, and this is very important, if anybody think they came across this guy and they're watching this video, it says if you believe you've been a victim or have any information concerning Zuberi, call 1-800, call FBI. We're going to get right into this. You know, say what you want to say about America. But one thing about America is you got a lot of freedoms you don't have in other countries. Now, this guy is a foreigner. Now, I don't know where he's from. But the reason why I bring up America and foreigners is this. Like we have music videos and we have other stuff over here that's entertainment, other countries have access to that. And I know this for a fact that a lot of men over there that are coming to America or have a chance to come to this country that we take for granted sometimes, A lot of times they get over here and their mind is blown because they're in countries where they're oppressed. They're in countries where religion controls what they can and can't do. Their eyes are wide open in the way women dress and act over here. They see it in videos and they see it on TV. And a lot of us, younger generation especially, emulate what they see on what? Television, movies, music videos. These guys come over here, and not all of them. Let me say that. I'm not trying to condemn people, but I know for a fact because I've met foreigners that come in and ask me questions when they feel comfortable, and they say, I ask them, what's the first thing you noticed that wasn't over here? They say the women. So this is where I'm getting this from. Now, moving right along, they come over here. Some of them are married. Now, in their country, their wives would be considered, their property or whatever, beautiful or whatever. But when you come over here, it's a lot of temptation, a lot of skin being shown, a lot of women that look like movie stars that in your head you secretly admire or want to be with. You come over here, start seeing it, you start to what? Desire such things. He's married, maybe religious, what have you. You don't know. But sometimes these people, and hell, people over here try to step outside of where they're at to experience something out of curiosity. This guy's an idiot. He went and drove 450 miles to Seattle to get a street hooker. They just provocative and everything. To his liking, something he was fantasizing of. Jump out the car, act like he a cop. Take her and bring her 450 miles back to his house where his wife and child live. Now, if that does not tell you the desperation of wanting or desiring something that he can't have, that tells you something. It's a lot of people out here with sick minds and curious minds. A lot of times, the curiosity is what is feeding the sickness. I don't know how long he was over here. He said he was over here 10 years. I don't think he was around anybody that committed crimes or really paid attention to the news because that whole plan was doomed to fail. Think about it. He made a Cinderblock. It's not funny, but he made a Cinderblock cell in his house. Did you see how straight the brick was? He put time and energy in there. At what point as a man in any country is that acceptable? Number one. And number two, when you think that plan gonna work? Oh, I'm gonna go steal me a woman, a sex object, throw her in my garage, and have at her when I feel like it. It's like going out into the wilderness and tagging a wild animal and putting it in a pen somewhere. You thought that was gonna work, bro? You need the hearing slapped out of you for that. Seriously. What was he thinking? The woman watched movies. I think he did too. He thought he was Hannibal like the Silence of the Lambs. That's what he thought. Oh, Prince looking ass. Look at him. He's like Prince a little bit. Remember Prince in the old pictures? I don't understand this whole thing. 4 other possible victims outside that state, and then they saying he might have victims in every state. Think about it. You move 10 times in 10 years, something's going on, but you got to keep moving like that. How can your wife and child have any stability? He must have been getting in trouble, and depending on his culture or whatever, his wife has to go with him. Because I'm thinking she might not know nothing about it, but when I first came to Houston, I had to stay. The first apartments I got, it was like a lot of people that were coming from other countries. And it was a lot of cultures there. And I noticed that a lot of the cultures, the men had all the say and the woman couldn't say nothing. And every time the woman opened her mouth, they would bark on her and she would have to go in the house. And I would just look like, that's kind of, but people's culture, their culture, I don't know. I'm thinking this dude right here, she would never question nothing because she just lucky to have somebody that's providing for her, and he looking at her like she an anchor as well as his child. So when he go out the house, she don't know what he doing. Because a lot of times they keep these women in the house and then come back with horror stories to keep them in the house. Oh, it's dangerous. And then women be scared. I've seen this from my own eyes. You know what I'm saying? I went to go knock on the door and ask for a guy from he was a French Guyanese, and his wife came to the door and opened the door, but couldn't come out the threshold. I can't come out. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to give her the thing I was giving him. And you know, when you go to somebody's house, you don't want to be close enough where you can look in there. People take that person. So I stayed back and I said, I got this for him. And she knows who I am. And she knows I was friends with him or trying to help him get on his feet. She was like, nah. I mean, petrified, like closing the door, like, no. I'm like, okay, that was weird. But anyway, listen. He come over here. The bottom line is what I'm trying to say is this. We don't know how good we have it here and the freedoms we have. And a lot of times we fight about a bunch of stuff that if we just kept our mouth closed and really looked at it, it was not even worth bringing up in the public eye. I mean, we got freedoms out other people would dream about. People risk dying getting here. I just can't get over the makeshift. He put work into that. I mean, I can build something like that, but it would take me a while. The way he did that. And then how you do that without your wife even seeing? Hey, what are you building over there? A hut for the in-laws. Shut up and go in the house. Like, I mean, really, like, how did that even fly? That right there let me know. And then nothing, he went to Reno. They pinged him in Reno, right? You locked that girl up in the house. So what was it, a part of the house they don't go? Says she banged the door, guys, until her hands bled. Nobody heard that in the house. So that means they must have had a detached garage. And like I was saying, I think this is one of them situations where his wife can't go nowhere and she better not leave out that house. This guy's a monster. I mean, an extreme monster. To do this to somebody, you grab somebody, and how do you drive? Seriously, how do you drive 450 miles with a woman in the back seat in leg irons? Just driving in your car. Then you put a sweatshirt on her head at the end. As more details come out, we'll cover this story because this is something worth talking about. This guy is unreal. This is something straight out of a movie. You agree or disagree? Leave me a comment as always, guys. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, man. Y'all be careful whether you're a man or a woman, especially you women, man. There's a lot of people out there, skeevy people trying to get their hands on you. They don't care if you 8 to 80, blind, crippled, and crazy. I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.